As y'all can see, Black Lives Matter every day, all day, not just today, but forever. Black Lives Matter, y'all. It's important. Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Keys Bafente and I'm a classical pianist. I wanted to take this video and make it more catered towards this month. Since it is Black History Month, I wanted to do one that is more related to that. I think it's very important as a Black person to really look at what other composers, other musicians has done, what kind of groundwork they put, what kind of legacy they left behind, because most of the time they are the first of within our race to do something. And when I say that, it sounds like it's very, very long ago, but in reality, some of them happened in like the 1930s, the 1950s. So it's like quite recent. I think, especially for the two that I've taken, they're very, very powerful people and they have made such an impact in the community, whether it's in the Black community or whether it's in the classical community. They've done like really, really impressive work. So I want to show you guys these two people. The first one that I took, I really want to show you guys how strong she is, and I'm gonna put in the description the pieces that I'm talking about today. So have a listen, and I hope that you guys enjoyed the pieces as much as I did, because they are honestly immaculate. Oh, and by the way, if you guys see me looking down, it's just because there's a lot of information and I'm just looking at my computer, okay? So the first person that I want to talk to you guys about is Florence Price. She was born in 1887 in Arkansas. She then moved to do her musical education at the New England Conservatory. And then once that was done, went back to Arkansas, established her life and her family, and started to teach music there. In 1927, she then decided to move to Chicago with her family, and that's where her life changed personally and for her career. So personally, she divorced her abusive husband, and he was also an abusive father to their kids that year. And for music, up until then, she was only doing very little pieces. So she was doing like songs or music for children, which was not very long. After that, she took a dramatic turn and started to do like pieces on a bigger scale. So she started to do like symphonies and concertos, which take much more time and are much, much more longer than a song or a song for a child. So in 1931, it was speculated that in the beginning of that year, she had wrote or sketched 4 symphonies. Guys, 4 symphonies is a lot. Just one symphony is a lot, but this woman has managed to write or sketch four symphonies in like 6 months. That's insane. But it just shows you how like brilliant her mind is, and also how like the talent that she has for classical music. So the first and the third symphony was published by the AR editions, and she was also scholarly guided by the late Raylinda Brown. It also had the chance of being recorded by the New Black Music Repertory Ensemble and the Women's Philharmonic. And that's quite an achievement, because being published and having your own recording was so hard during those times. And she managed to have both of those ensembles do both pieces, so the first and the third symphony respectively, which is quite an amazing feat. And then the second symphony was apparently never finished, and the fourth symphony, which is interesting because like the score came up in St. Anne's House. It was then premiered by the Fort Smith Symphony in Arkansas. All of those 4 symphonies, she would often put model contours of African American spirituals into those symphonies. She was trying really hard to not put the outre jazz, which was very, very popular to put then by either Black or white composers. She has a very distinctive yet sensitive sound, and it's very, very subtle. It's very, very elegant. but it's still powerful, and it has like a lot of familiar idioms. When you're listening to it, you feel like you have some type of like attachment to it, and it feels like you know what this piece is about. The piece that I heard and that I'm mostly like thinking right now and that I'm talking about is the Third Symphony. It's always moving. That piece is always moving. The Third Symphony is 30 minutes, but when I tell you that, just in like the first part, like the allegro, it's nonstop. And it's one of the descriptions of her piece is that the Third Symphony is a bigger, brasher work than her First Symphony. The music is restless. It's always changing. Like, you start by hearing the piece very, very still, and then it changes to another section just in the allegro, and then it changes again and again and again. So it always keeps on your toes, but it's not disrupting you when you're listening, which I really like. It has the same type of atmosphere, even though she is changing a little bit of the pace and a little bit of the tone of the piece, which I like. And then in the third movement, she then incorporates a lot of like Juba dance and habanera. And Juba dance is it's taking from the African traditions of slapping like different parts of your body, so like your chest, your cheeks, your arms, your legs, and making beats with it. Florence Price did something that many women during her time could not do, and she not only did it, but she succeeded and excelled. You know what I mean? She really left her print, even though there was a lot of objection to her broadcast of her symphonies because she's Black. It did not stop her from doing what she loved the most and what she knew she was truly there to do, which was to create and compose those type of symphonies and to include something that other artists didn't have, which was her heritage. The second person that I wanted to show you guys, his name is James DePreist, and he's a conductor, even though he is a musician at the beginning, but he then goes more into conducting. So he was born in 1936 in Philadelphia. He did his bachelor's and his master's degrees in the University of Pennsylvania. He studied composition with Vincent Persichetti at the Philadelphia Conservatory, as well as conducting. So in 1962, he went on an Asian tour that was State Department sponsored, and he was in his mid-20s at that time, but sadly he contracted polio, which got him really sick while he was orchestrating for the Orchestra of Bangkok. He had to get treated, and he did several months not being able to conduct and only being able to look at scores in preparation for the Dmitri Metropolis International Conducting Competition, which was happening in 1963. During that competition, he says that the other candidates looked at him while he was like wearing braces and clutches and thought that, well, oh, we can just write him off. Like, he's going to be an easy person to beat. But he had recovered enough to reach the semifinals. So he put a good fight in order to reach the semifinals. And the next year, in 1964, for the same competition, he won. He then got the attention from Leonard Bernstein from the victory of that competition, who took him as an assistant at the New York Philharmonic for the seasons of 1965 and 66. So he then went to do a lot. And when I say a lot of guest conducting around the world. He took his conducting everywhere. He did 2 years, not 2 years, but he did 2 seasons conducting for a youth orchestra in New York. And then he moved to the Netherlands in 1967. And that's when he did his debut in Europe, and it was brilliant. He did a good job. In 71, he was then appointed to be the associate conductor of the National Symphony Orchestra in Washington. And that's a position that he kept for 3 years until 74. And then he started to conduct for the Cleveland Orchestra, the Chicago Symphony Orchestra, Philadelphia Orchestra, the Boston Symphony Orchestra, the Los Angeles Philharmonic, and the San Francisco Symphony. He orchestrated everywhere in the Europe cities, including Amsterdam, Berlin, Budapest, Copenhagen, Prague, Rome, Stockholm, Vienna. He also did a performance in Seoul, Sydney, and Tel Aviv. Guys, I need some water, okay? Because just all of that, like, my throat is dry. But he did such an amazing job just proving everybody wrong. And from there, he just went everywhere in the United States and everywhere in Europe. And then he also already did his Asian tour. He even came to Canada. Okay, so he left the National Symphony, and he came to be the director of the Quebec Symphony Orchestra. And he held that position from 1976 to 1983. That's not long ago. That is not long ago. One of the things that I thought that was interesting was from 2005 to 2008, he was the permanent conductor of the Tokyo Metropolitan Symphony Orchestra. And in the anime No Dame Cantabile, which became a really popular anime, it was actually based on him. Like, one of the characters was based on him. The character directed a fictional orchestra in Paris. Mr. DePreist actually conducted the soundtrack recording for the live action and anime adaptation of the story in 2009. How cool is that? You have an anime character based on you. As a Black person, that's like, whoa, that's actually so cool. One of the pieces that he conducts that I'm really like, I honestly listen to it way too many times in a day. It's a younger him, and he's with the New York Philharmonic. So here he's conducting the piece by Mussorgsky Ravel named The Promenade. And it's such a beautiful piece, in my opinion. It starts with the brass. So all the wind instruments are playing very soothingly, starts very nicely. But then after a while comes a turn, and it kind of has that mystery feeling to it. It's very, like, it's very intriguing. It makes you kind of want to learn more, like what's going to happen next in the piece. And what I think is very interesting is not only the music itself, but also him. Like, in the video, you can see him conduct, and he has a very, very lively way of conducting. So you can see that he's conducting, like, not only with his hands but with his face. Like, he's giving like a lot of cues, and he's like kind of like setting the atmosphere with his face. He has a very steady right hand, which is to conduct the beats. His left hand is very lively. It's like he's writing in cursive. It's very expressionist, and it has a lot of bounce and feel to it, but it's not too much. And I think it's really nice to see him like conduct during these times, because there was not a lot of Black people that were conducting during those times, because just finding this video was very hard. He made headlines because, of course, he was Black, but also from his talent. You can't deny his talent. It was like, as a conductor, it was amazing. He really could bring out a very rich and a very colorful sound from the orchestra in itself. So I think those two people right there are amazing musicians in the classical world. They have done amazing thing for the Black community. So thank you guys for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe. Let me know what you guys think, and I'll see you guys